When I'm not lying awake at night, dreaming maniacally about one day acquiring the unlimited power of a Reddit moderator, I like to answer questions I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Bravo, you know a bit about blues and a lot about clickbait. I do feel like I need to address a little bit of the blues comments. So, I've got this one video called Learn Every Blues Song Ever in 8 minutes, and a lot of people say it's like clickbait and stuff like that. But just a thing about clickbait real quick. I'm not a fan of clickbait. I don't feel like I use clickbait in my videos. I think that's kind of going about it the wrong way. I really feel like when I learned, so that blues video is about the 12-bar blues, just like a lesson teaching the 12-bar blues. I personally legitimately feel when I understood the 12-bar blues, it opened up an entire world of understanding blues music as a whole. So obviously you're not going to learn every blues song in 8 minutes or whatever. I think that's kind of like understood, but learning the structure is kind of like a gateway to learning all of it. So whatever. Again, it doesn't really faze me, but the accusations of clickbait I will not tolerate any longer because I try to do things the right way on my channel. I'm not a huge fan of like using clickbait. That being said, Ian and I filmed an awesome troll the internet clickbait video that is probably going up in the next day or two. So I just wanted to get out ahead and warn you that that's coming because it's pretty awesome and you'll know exactly what it is when you see it. As I've grown as a guitar player at least a little bit and music listener leaps and bounds, my tastes in guitarists have also evolved. Example, a lot of guitar god types I used to love as a teenager just strike me as being stuck in boring pentatonic lickland. However, the one person who has remained in my personal guitar pantheon through these changes is Hendrix. I'm more interested in his rhythm playing now, but my god does he really contain multitudes. With all those cliches being typed, my question is, who are the guitarists you've continued to love and like, even as your own playing and listening has evolved? Now, this is a really great point because everyone's musical taste evolves and matures or devolves over time, however you want to look at it. And yeah, definitely, there's like a lot of like players that maybe I used to listen to when I was like in high school or early college that I don't really listen to anymore. But I am right there with you. The one guy who has been with me through it all from square one to now is Jimi Hendrix. Love Hendrix. There's so much, kind of like you said, like in his playing, especially his rhythm playing is so, it's just so tasty. It's like busy in a way that works, and it's flashy in a way that's not pretentious. And I'm just a huge Hendrix fan, rhythm-wise, solo-wise, whatever. Another guy that I still love, and every time I listen to it, I kind of feel like I learn something, is Elliott Smith. Huge Elliott Smith fan. Again, not like a blistering lead player, like a lot of people evaluate great guitarists on, but I think just his arrangements and compositions and kind of like just chord voicings and all that stuff is just like, it's so interesting to me, and it's so kind of different than anything else that I've listened to. So I always come back to Elliott Smith because of the writing, and Hendrix just because of like the boundless creativity. Great, when will you release your album? So I am planning on releasing it the first of the year, assuming everything goes according to plan, which it never does, but I think this is a pretty hard deadline that I've set for myself. So I'm working on finishing up the animations, and it turns out I'm gonna self-master it, which is gonna be interesting, so I'm really gonna try to teach myself to do it the best I can. So definitely stay tuned, and it'll be out soon. What is your favorite guitar solo? My favorite is Mr. Crowley. Now this is a fantastic question, and it's kind of hard to just pick one. I think if I had to pick one, it would be Eric Clapton's Unplugged Layla acoustic guitar solo, because it is just so good. It starts off perfectly with that like, and it's just for an acoustic guitar solo, it is like, it's awesome. It's like everything you ever wanted in a blues solo. I'm not even like a huge Eric Clapton fan, but I love that song and I love that solo. Again, I'm more of a Hendrix guy. I think it was like a 4-disc set that came out with him, and it had like some studio instrumental versions, and there's one of Bold as Love on there that, again, it's just a straight up instrumental version of Bold as Love, and essentially it's just kind of like one enormous guitar solo, and it's fantastic. His phrasing is just so good to kind of keep you interested the whole time. But yeah, there's so many great ones out there. What's your take on the pentatonic scale? How do I avoid getting stuck in pentatonic boxes? I'm kind of conflicted on the pentatonic scale, right? So I do think that that pentatonic scale shaped position is like the first scale that most guitar players learn, myself included. When I learned it, I didn't really know what I was doing. It just sounded like a scale. That ended up being my reference for what a scale was. And now that I teach a lot, I kind of don't ever really teach the pentatonic scale first. I always go to teach the minor scale or the major scale first, because essentially what the pentatonic scale is, it's the minor and major scale light, just taking two of those notes out. And I think if you learn the major scale and the minor scale first, and then subtract those two notes to taste to make a pentatonic thing more applicable to like songs and stuff, I think mentally that's a better way to come at it. I think it was hard for me to think of a pentatonic scale and then try to like learn more stuff like major scale and minor scale. It was just super confusing to me. And I didn't, like, I was stuck in that same thing. I would like have pentatonic licks, but it wasn't until I really learned the major scale and like the mode positions and stuff like that that I felt I really got my head around how to kind of like play throughout the fretboard and how to solo specifically in general. I mean, I do think that like the people who just kind of like riff pentatonic scale stuff, which is fine. I'm not hating on those people. I do think that almost everything they end up playing sounds just super bluesy, and there are a lot of players that are okay with that, and that's cool. But just coming as a guy who worked in a guitar shop for a long time, the majority of the really like good guitar players just come in and shred blues licks. And I think at least part of that is because they learned the pentatonic scale and that's what they did. I think if you learn the major scale and its positions, and then you kind of like step it down into a pentatonic thing and thoughtfully use them to kind of create like a bluesy sound, I personally think that's a little better. So what I've been trying to do is like make videos kind of like linking these things together, like chords and arpeggios and scales, and sometimes pentatonic scales, to kind of try to like break people out of like the box mindset, which I was stuck in too. So if anybody has any suggestions on better ways to maybe like showcase that, I'm definitely all ears, but I'm a huge advocate of instead of learning the pentatonic scale, learn the major and minor scale first, and then kind of like see how the pentatonic scale relates. Because the pentatonic scale is great, especially for like speed stuff. The 2-note per string thing is like a really valuable thing that can kind of help you like swiftly and fluidly move around. But I do think that people are missing out. Like those 2 notes to separate the pentatonic, the 5-note scale, from the major scale, 7-note scale. I think those 2 notes are really important musically, obviously. So I try to kind of hammer that home as much as I can. Hey Sean, what do you think about reading notes? I mean that to read notes while you're playing on guitar, because the guy who taught me said that I shouldn't learn to read music notes because I'm going to be dependent on it and won't be able to improvise or jam. He said the only way to become a good guitarist is to play what I hear. That was a big crush on my life because I have not a good music ear or something like that, so I would like to know what you think. I think the guitar is probably the one instrument over anything that you don't need to know how to read notes to really become pretty good at. There's a lot of great resources, tablature, etc., that are good at that kind of thing. But again, like so many other things, it all depends on what your goals are. I wouldn't say that learning to read notes is going to like make you dependent on them. I think it's just having any kind of background and like being able to read sheet music is only going to be helpful. Again, I'm not the best sight sheet music reader, but I mean, I can kind of like plunk along on it. I learn by ear though, for sure. I think a lot of people have an easier time learning by ear, but not everybody. Everybody learns differently. And I think to say that learning to read notes, if that's your thing, is going to mess you up is just flat out wrong. You know, if that's what you want to do and you feel like your ear isn't improving and you want the help of being able to see exactly what's going on a sheet of paper, I mean, go for it. You know, there's no wrong way to do it as long as you're doing what you want to do and you're improving. But me personally, I kind of see what he's saying, that the ultimate goal of any kind of creative musician is to be able to play what you hear. And playing by ear is probably the best way to do that, in my own opinion. I don't think that I was born with a very good musical ear either. I think I really had to develop it over the years and practicing, and now I kind of feel like it's pretty good. I know that some people are born with like perfect pitch and they can just like rail it off like that. Again, I wasn't one of those people, but that doesn't mean that that's the best way to do it. Again, everybody has their own way of learning and what's going to resonate with them. So if reading sheet music is your thing, go for it. If never ever touching a piece of sheet music is your thing, that is totally fine too. You can still become an incredible guitar player. So just find what works for you and stick with it. For listening homework this week, I'm going to showcase what I think is a highly underappreciated guitar album, and it is Odd Soul by a band named Mutemath. So I'm just going to link you to one of the tracks. The They've got a nasty drummer too, Darren King. He's ridiculous. But it's just like a riff fest from beginning to end. So check these out. Let me know what you think. And any questions or comments you have, hit me up in the comments on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.